Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started with the 7 expensive money pits in your food business. If you have not muted yourself, please go ahead and mute yourself. If you can't figure out how to do it, then Emily will certainly mute you as we go through. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm not going to tell you much about myself because you're not here to learn about me. You're here to learn about your money. I'm Chef Deb. I have owned multiple culinary businesses. My oldest one is 20 years old. And I also own a coaching and consulting company for culinary business owners who want to scale from usually that 5 to 6 figure mark is where people usually come into various programs that I have, really want to go to 7 figures or move from behind their stove to CEO. Some of you guys just need to take a vacation. So there's that too. One of the reasons why this was created is because when I do strategy calls with the people that I coach, this is one of the things that we always talk about is I always try to find the money back. And this is kind of what I've put together owning my companies over the past 20 years, and just the most common money pits. The beauty of this presentation is you don't have to go out and spend more money. I wanted you to kind of find the money that you might already be missing. And that's why this whole business was created. This whole presentation was created. I have found people anywhere from about $900 to over $3,000 just by changing some of the things and ways that you do business. The second thing that I need you guys to know is that my team, which some of you guys, they are there right now, Emily and Heather that are here, as well as another person by the name of Robin and Kelly have gone out of their way to not only create these slides, create the copy, the emails to make sure you stay informed, all of those things. So the hard work that they have put into this, I just ask that you guys understand that ahead of time and what they have done. I actually have the easy part. I just have to give it and teach it. And I just every single day, just keep in mind when you show back up, the hard work that has already been put back in has been put in for you. So I could not do any of this without them. And especially how beautiful that these slides are and how everything was well written. So sometimes whenever you're in workshops like this, especially free ones, which this one is, you have a tendency not to want to show up every day. I want you to know that I will stay here at the end of every day and answer whatever questions you have about your business. I will help you, whether it is about the presentation or you just have some other area in your own business that you are just struggling with that you can't get an answer for. I am here for that. So by the time we are done with this kind of mini workshop.
Deb, you need to unmute yourself.
I didn't touch anything. Okay, are we good?
Yeah, we're good. Maybe I muted you and someone else. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I was saying is that I don't want you to, this is way more to myself and especially my team than just teaching you what's on the screen. We want to make sure that when you're done, whenever we are done, that you have your struggles, your frustrations, that you get answers to those. That's really, really important to us. So as we go along, you may have questions. Perfectly fine. We want questions. If you think you're going to forget it, please put it in the chat as we go along and we will get to those first. And then also we will take live questions at the end. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is that when people say there's no dumb questions, you guys have heard that a lot, but I promise you there's so many of you guys that I talk to often and it's like, I should know this. Well, the thing about it is maybe you shouldn't know it. Ask it and then other people will learn as well. This is a very, very supportive group. And I know that most of these faces too like alcohol a lot. So if you want to come with an adult beverage during this time, feel free, come with an adult beverage. We would love for you to do that. We want you to come just as you are. So let's go ahead and dive in with the first 4 money pits that every culinary business should know. The first thing is you should have been sent worksheets. If you do not have your worksheets, thanks Brenda, Brenda has worksheets. If you do not have your worksheets, you can open up your phone and scan the QR code and download your worksheets, but you should have been sent these via email already. So one of the number one things in business that most people don't realize, and I know what you're thinking right now, you're probably thinking, well, I'm a personal chef and I get reimbursed for food cost. Well, I'm going to kind of surprise you in some of the things that I'm going to tell you guys with this particular subject, because this is a huge, huge money pit. There are two things that will tank any culinary business. That is food cost, even if you think you don't have them, and it is employee cost, those two things. The majority of business owners with personal chef services, again, will say, I don't have to worry about this. I'm going to explain that. And believe me, you could be cutting into your profit and not even know it. Just need to move something around. Give me just a minute. The thing about it is most business owners, believe it or not, whether you've been to culinary school or not, you don't know how to calculate food cost. It's really, really important that even if you do get reimbursed, that you understand how to calculate food cost. But actually, you could be losing up to about 20% and not even realize it. That's hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending upon the size of your business. So let me explain a little bit more. If you own a personal chef company, and we've got people on here, personal chef, cooking class instructors, bakers, we've got all kinds of different people in this particular call today. For a personal chef service, if you charge a personal chef fee plus groceries and think that's enough, you're likely undercharging. So let me kind of explain to you. What happens a lot of times when I see numbers, I'm going to refer to them as profit and loss statements. When you look at the line item that says, this is how much I'm reimbursed for my groceries, and then you look at the line item, so in the total income, and then you look at the line item that says, this is how much I spent in groceries and containers and all of those other things, okay? Now, if you charge a chef fee plus groceries, you would think that those should at least be equal. Maybe they're a little more, maybe they're a few dollars less. Those few dollars matter. But I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, every profit and loss statement I've ever looked at or asked for the chef to give me those numbers, it has always been diabolically different. And it usually has been to the detriment of the business owner. Because either you go back to the grocery store, you don't charge the client, an admin somewhere transposed numbers, or what can happen is you're just simply not charging enough and you think that you are. So not only do you have this discrepancy in what you're actually putting out versus what you're billing, even if you're thinking, well, it wouldn't be that much, I don't have that many clients. Remember, the more clients that you get, that bigger that divide or that deficit is actually going to be. The other thing that people often don't look at here is that when you look at your food cost, and remember your food cost is all the money that goes out in groceries and containers that is divided by your total sales, all the money that you bring in, okay? Now, the thing about that is do you know what percentage is average for you? This is another way that you lose money on food cost. A normal percentage, we'll call it for a personal chef company, even if you do customize, is usually around 30 to maybe 35%. If you own a cooking school, you own a bakery, or you own a catering company, you want that food cost to be as close to about 20 to 25% as possible. Most of what I've seen is about 28%. Here's the deal though. Unless you calculate your food cost, you're not ever going to know if you're spending too much in food, ever. Now, the next thing that you look at with that is if your food costs are too high, maybe you're doing everything great as far as how you buy groceries or the amount you buy, but maybe it's time to raise your chef fees or your fees for your services as a whole, which by doing that, you make more money. And then if you're shopping effectively, your food cost now becomes in a line of what it's supposed to be. Okay. We talked about the industry standard being around 30%. I understand it's not perfect. And then sometimes understanding food costs for catering and baking is even more critical if you if you charge a flat rate for your services. I want to make sure I just didn't miss anything. Okay. Could I just get if this is clear to you guys and you guys understand what I'm saying here, at least shake your head. Okay, thank you. If you have questions about this particular thing, whenever we come back at the end and answer questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. Again, I cannot stress enough, even if you are getting reimbursed for your groceries, you still need to know your food cost and you still need to make sure you're getting reimbursed for all of it. I own a commercial kitchen. I use vendors. We have 40 to 45 families a week that we cook for personal chef services alone, not to mention catering. It is so important and valuable for us to know our food costs because we also charge what we call an industry standard for groceries. Okay. I use vendors. I personally make money on all of my food costs. So I want to know what my food cost percentage is, but I'm also used to making a profit. I don't overcharge. I charge an industry standard. It's just that I can use vendors. So therefore I make money. I usually make, well, pre-COVID, a couple of $1,000s a month. Now it sits around about $1,000 a month, but I would never know that if I didn't know my food cost. Okay. This is part of that. The second thing is the grocery reimbursement versus actual cost. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this. Having your kitchen administrator write groceries into your invoices can be a broken strategy. Okay, so whether you write it in, you type it in, or your admin person does it, they must go back and double check that they have all the groceries, even if somebody had to go back. And on top of that, that numbers are not being transposed. Okay. Most bookkeeping is not set up for grocery reimbursement. It has to be a line item in your operating costs. Okay. So all that it takes to do business. As far as industry costs, you need industry costs for groceries, especially when you need to buy in bulk and you can't use the entire receipt for a single client. This is the way Saver is set up. This is what I was explaining to you guys. I can explain to you guys later how I get that industry standard for groceries so that I always know what I'm supposed to be charging my clients for groceries. When your grocery prices go up and you don't have the actual cost, you can lose money because you didn't leave space for inflation. Just like what happened to so many of you guys.
I wonder if it's in that bag.
Can you pause that person, please? Just like what happened about, it was probably about a year ago, there were so many complaints of I'm losing clients because they don't want to pay the grocery costs. Some business owners were like, you know what, I'll keep your grocery costs the same and I'll just eat the difference. It can't work that way. So even if you charge a flat rate and not a chef fee plus groceries, and you give the client just a flat rate for whatever it is you do, whether you're a personal chef, caterer, baker, cooking class instructor, you still have to know what industry cost and what your actual costs are for the groceries and the containers and all those other things that you're buying, or you will end up losing money. Okay, here's the third way. Actually, let me go back real quick, guys. Sorry. Oh, there is one thing I wanted to say on this. Sometimes you forget things like cumin, you run out of oil, you need more chicken. and those numbers don't get added in. So that's just an example of things that have actually happened in my kitchen. Is for some reason, when we went to the store, we were short, one chicken breast or a piece of salmon or whatever. And it's really easy just to run off in the heat of the moment and forget completely about adding those back in. And it sounds really simple, but that needs to be a system in place so that that doesn't keep happening. Because again, you're thinking to yourself, well, it was $12 or it was $25. Those $12 and $25 begin to multiply as you get bigger. And if you don't put that system in place now, then what's going to happen is those few dollars are going to become hundreds and are going to turn into thousands. The third place that I see a lot of people losing out is credit card processing fees and ACH fees. Let me explain this just a little bit more. So one of the things that I always hear from many of you guys is, we just don't want to nickel and dime our clients to death. I understand that. And the other fears are, we just don't know how to have the conversation with them to charge them in the first place. And then also you think to yourself, well, it's kind of too small of a cost. I just won't worry about it. I'll absorb it. Well, before I realized what was going on as we continue to grow in business, and this is actually a one of our invoices that you can see here, we actually charge a credit card processing fee. I'll explain more. I can't tell you that how many times I have looked at profit and loss statements for culinary business owners, or their numbers or Excel spreadsheets, or however it is that they have them, or even just their bank statements, and help them to realize that they're missing hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars a month. When we realized that we were not charging for credit card processing fees because it was a convenience to our clients, we realized we were losing $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. And then we thought we would get really smart, and we ran everything through QuickBooks, which I will explain later. And we started charging credit card processing fees, which was great. We started recouping a lot of that money, but we were still missing about $1,000 every month. And I called my admin that does our invoicing, and I said, why are you not charging for credit card fees? She said, I am. Well, then what we realized is for an ACH fee, and this was a few years ago, that's a 1% on top of it. Those 1% add up. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, my clients pay me through Venmo, and they pay me through PayPal, and they leave me cash, and I get a check, and all these other things. We're going to kind of go into all of those as well. But it's not too small of a cost. It definitely adds up. You would be shocked how much money you can get back if you will just start charging for these things. So let me go into a little bit more detail. Here's how not to make it awkward. These are actually words that we're going to give you that will help you. So one of the things that I do when I onboard a client is, hi, Mrs. Smith, I go through, this is the way that the service works. It answers your frequently asked questions. Here's the questions I have on your food questionnaire. Okay, your chef fee is going to be $500 plus the cost of groceries. Yes, I understand you want me to ballpark groceries, something like that. You're probably looking at, I'll get out my calculator real quick, probably around $250. So your total is going to be about $750. Okay, fine, great. What day of the week would you like to get started? How about a Monday? Well, we'll just call it a Monday. And I say, okay, no problem. So the morning of your service, you are going to receive an invoice. It's going to come via email. There'll be a simple button that says click here to pay. I said, I need to know from you how you would like that set up. They say, what do you mean? I said, well, we typically set that up as an ACH transaction so that neither one of us have to pay a credit card fee. How would you like to do it? They said, well, I want to pay by credit card. No problem. There's going to be a 4% fee you're going to see as a line item, because remember this, that you're going to see on every invoice. Is that okay? No, I'll pay via ACH. Now, your next question is, well, Deb, what do you do with that 1% fee? Because you already told me that you were going to lose about $1,000 a month. And I'm going to explain what we do and how we manage that here in just a little bit. If they choose a credit card, then we tell them what the fee will be. We send the invoice, and then we literally don't think about it anymore. The thing about it is we give them a choice up front. We tell them this is going to happen if you choose to use a credit card. I tell you that probably 75% of our clients choose ACH, but it is not a shock when they see that credit card fee added on. There's another way that some of you guys have chosen to do this, and you can also just choose not to say anything, keep and say, I only use credit card, period, end of discussion, and then add the 3 or 4% into your grocery cost whenever you want to, quote unquote, kind of hide it a little bit, okay? This is completely up to you. There's no right or wrong answer. In our grocery cost, which you can see, there's right under chef services, it says groceries on my invoice. I charge an industry fee for groceries, which I told you about, a standard fee that would be the same amount if they were go to the store. Now, inside of my grocery cost is also $22 for containers, as well as pantry staples that most of the time we don't get back unless you charge extra for them. Olive oil, Ziploc bags, deli cups, little souffle dressing containers, those types of things. And this is when I will add a 1% into that to cover that 1% ACH fee. You can do it any way that you want to, whatever makes you feel best. You can even do a line item for ACH if they choose that. I use ACH through QuickBooks. It works just like Venmo or PayPal or something like that would, okay? One of the things that you need to know that's super important, and I know that some of you guys are going to completely disagree with me, and that's okay too, is as you grow, you do not want to be paid a million different ways. It is insanity. If you have a bookkeeper, he or she it will cost you more to have them because they're going to chase stuff forever. I also know from experience that if you get paid all these different ways, the problem is it's hard to keep up with who paid you, didn't pay you slow, paid you partially through here, or didn't pay you. Now, what you didn't hear me say is if a client wants to pay me cash, I don't turn that down, okay? I'm just being honest. But I still enter it into QuickBooks so that QuickBooks knows that it's there. I do not accept Zelle, I do not accept Venmo, and I do not accept American Express. I like my bookkeepers too much. And also, it's going to waste your time to hunt all of it down. Using one processing source to keep things streamlined and organized will save you time, and you can use that time to grow your business and not hunt people down. You guys with me so far? Let me know that you're still there. Just give me a head shake. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. For this particular presentation, this is another thing that I have found, and this is the fourth thing that we're going to talk about. If you have employees, and I do not like the word helpers because eventually helpers always flake out. If you have employees, even one, and it's you and somebody else that is there consistently with you, part-time with you, doesn't matter, they come in or out. I have seen over and over again, job duty overlap cost so much money. We tend to hire in a vacuum, meaning we tend to hire for like loss of bandwidth, loss of traction, instead of waiting for the ideal client to come around. I mean, ideal employee. And sometimes just for the sake of you being able to breathe and just step away from your kitchen or your business so that you actually like what you do again. A lot of times we kind of train and release them without them being fully trained. Well, what we forget to do is we forget to make sure that we as business owners have a job description. You're not just a business owner. When you step foot in that kitchen, you actually fulfill a different role. That's working in your business and not on it. When you have somebody else in that kitchen, they should not be doing the same thing that you are doing. They fulfill a different role. They need a job description as well. It's kind of awkward. I understand, to kind of write your own job description and then share that with whoever's in the kitchen, but it will save you time and it will save you money. So a lot of times, not only do you have job duty overlap, you also realize that sometimes employees can ride the clock as well, which makes work harder for other team members. So not only do you have job duty overlap, you also have people that might want to ride the clock. So if we go back to job descriptions, when job descriptions are unclear, even yours in the kitchen, then what happens is that culinary employees will modify them on the fly because we're so used to making sure that it just gets done. Whether it's your kitchen or you have an employee in there, we're so trained in culinary just to get it done. Hey guys, can you let Jacob in for me? Only because he's over kind of part of my slide. So understanding, even if it's somebody that you're working with for the first time, that this is your role, this is my role, you would be shocked at how faster things are done in the kitchen. The problem too is when there isn't a standardized form of communication between employees, you create redundancies that double the cost of food and your staff, okay? What do I mean by that? You need to establish a set way of communicating with each other. Some people choose just a simple text trail. Some people choose email. Some people choose WhatsApp. Some people choose Slack. But the problem is it's not a standard way of communicating among all. And if they choose to communicate a different way, that you have to shut that down. With my employees, they are allowed to text in a group text, but if it takes more than 2 sentences, that should be a phone call. I don't want these long drawn out texts where things get missed. People get their feelings hurt. That is not okay. Things always go in writing unless you're right there in front of somebody, because I need to be able to find out what was said and who said it. There has to be a standard form of communication, and it has to be abided by, and everyone has to know about it. A lot of times what's happened also is that whenever there is not a standard form of communication, and it can also be something as simple as a whiteboard in your kitchen for when you run out of honey, and that's not abided by, do you know how many bottles of honey you will end up with? A lot. That extra bottle of honey now just cost you 2 people going to the store to get it, and the time that you paid them, and then also in food cost. This is a true story. I will lose my mind if I walk into the kitchen, that and quinoa. I don't know what it is about quinoa in my kitchen. So the thing about it is writing clear job descriptions, a standard form of communication that everyone abides by, will save you employee time and also food cost. Here's the other problem with this, is when someone is out sick, the owner assumes the team will divide and conquer the duties, but nothing actually gets done because everybody is confused. So if the owner is out, or the person in charge, the head chef, the sous, whatever you call this person, is out, The problem is now what happens is job roles and responsibilities for the day or while they're out on vacation or whatever is not switched around. And now what happens is no one is clear about what they're supposed to be doing that day in their new role or in their different role until this other person comes back. Now what happens is it takes the food longer to get out. People are confused because they're slower. You start buying multiple things at the grocery store and on and on and on. So we really forget how important it is to not assume that something will just be taken care of and they can figure it out, honestly, themselves. Let me make sure I have one more note here, guys. I just want to make sure that I told you 2 people make this. Oh, yes. The other problem that happens is a lot of times in a kitchen, if the job duties are not clear, there's not a clear form of communication. And I want to add an extra layer to this. There's not a clear procedure from start to finish of getting that food out that everyone is aware of. What happens is then sometimes double things get made. One person thought that one person was making it, somebody else didn't know, and then so they made it too. Now all of a sudden you're short an extra chicken breast. You can't figure out why, because maybe the walk-in gremlin, and if you guys have walk-ins, you know what I'm talking about. Food just kind of poofs, disappears. Now all of a sudden you've got time for somebody else to go back to the store and you've got more food costs. And now one of your clients is getting too much food. They're pretty happy about it, but then it might confuse them too. And now there causes a communication error. Or somebody thought that somebody else made it and everybody thought that they made it. And then when it comes down to it, no one made it. And now the client is pissed off. Clear procedures, clear job descriptions, clear roles, even when somebody is out, will make a huge difference in your company. I can tell you that on average, when I have looked at this one problem in people that have even come and go employees, usually what happens is I can usually reduce their employee cost by about 10%. When we really dig into employees and look to see what's going on. Employee cost in a company is the number 2 reasons why culinary businesses struggle so much. I often look to see the numbers in a culinary business to find out what their employee costs are. I have always looked for my employee cost ideally to be around 30%. Most of the time, what I see is over 40% employee cost. The way I get that is all the money that gets paid to an employee, taxes, what you pay them per hour, whether they're contract or labor, that gets divided by your total sales. And then that's the number that you receive. Okay, you're looking for 30%. Most of the time, what I see is well over 40%. Okay. Now, this also has to do with the amount of customization that you do in your business. You may have higher employee cost, and that's fine, as long as you have a higher cost of what you're billing that client to counteract that. And you're not going to know if you should start charging more unless you know your exact employee cost, even if you just have people that come in to help you. Okay. That's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of percentages that we've talked about today. So what I want to know is, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see all your faces here in a little bit. And Emily, you'll have to tell me if things are in the chat or not. Here in just a little bit, but I'm going to open up the floor for questions about content from today, as well as anything else, questions that you have about your business. I want to remind you, this is a strong, supportive group, and that there is absolutely no one in here that's going to be a butthead, because that is not allowed in any of my groups. So, last but
yes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, last but not least, I have to share this slide with you because Heather, this is very much Heather's personality. And if you guys cannot hear this song in your head because you're just too young, please go like find it somewhere. You won't be able to get it out of your head. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, hopefully. Hang on.
You can do it. We believe in you.
I swear, you know what? Hang on. It keeps saying, do I want to end the meeting? Hang on, stop share. So I'm moving stuff around. Okay. Do you guys still see my slides or no?
No, you're good to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Brandon did leave a comment up there. He said food costs, containers, delivery, and payroll. I don't know what he means by this. You probably will, but he said as a question for meal delivery. You might want to scroll into the chat, Deb, to be able to see like the numbers.
Did Brandon leave that?
Yes.
Brandon, unmute yourself and ask me, please.
Hi,
Use your
Deb.
words.
I love you and I thank you for all of your wisdom.
Oh, you're welcome. I like the beard.
You like the beard?
I do. I do.
So if you're going into meal delivery versus
From a
in-home-
commercial kitchen, correct?
correct,
Okay.
versus in-home prep,
Mm-hmm.
$185 minimum order, 4x3 side. So 4 mains, 2 sides per thing.
Okay.
How do you factor in payroll and other things in that? Or is that too complicated for this discussion?
No. It's not too complicated. I think that there's a piece that you're missing is I think what you're asking me is when I move to a commercial kitchen, and is it to hire employees to have payroll to see what your budget is, or is it to know what you can afford, and then if you should raise food costs to afford, raise prices to afford them? Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
Okay, so you're asking how do you project the things that you're going to need?
Yes.
Okay, so what you kind of have to do, and that's kind of where an org chart comes in, is literally you need to sit down, put yourself at the top, and then put down who you think you're going to need, not just immediately, but even your next step past that as you grow. So maybe it's you as executive chef and you need Sue and you need prep. We'll just call it those two things.
Sure.
One of the things that you have to do is you have to look at, on average, you can use something like glassdoor.com in your area to look to see kind of what an average hourly rate is for each of those positions where you are. And then what happens is you're going to have to do some guessing on, I think that this person may be here 20 hours, this person may be here 30 hours. And then you can get how much a month your payroll is going to be by adding those two people together. Okay.
Yep.
Because then you can go back and divide that by your total sales to see what your employee cost would be if you had those two people, or maybe just starting with the one person, to see if your prices are where they need to be based upon whatever goals you have in business. And I'm going to tell you, you said 185, I think is what you said. I'm going to tell you that's going to be too low. It depends on kind of the cost of living where you are. And you're still in Colorado, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Your minimum might end up being closer to about 300 if you raise prices a little bit, maybe 250. People are just used to kind of paying more for things where you are.
Okay.
So, okay.
And I will be hiring you in November.
Am I going to have room for you?
No, maybe, I don't know.
Brandon, I'm playing with you.
Premium.
We've known each other for a long time. It's fine. And why
I'll
do
quit
you
being a butthead too, by the way.
what?
I'll
What?
quit being a butthead, by the way.
Oh, I like your comments, though. That's fine. And why are you waiting until November?
Finances.
Understand. Okay,
So
got it. That was
I know where
actually,
you're at.
that was a really valuable question, because I'm sure that other people, there's a lot of people on here that kind of want to move into a commercial kitchen. And that was a really valuable question. So thanks for asking it.
Thank you.
Welcome. What else you have, Emily? Who else?
Deb, Brenda had a question she wanted to ask about credit cards. So Brenda, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so as I was confused before, now I'm more confused about the
Okay.
credit, because I don't charge with a credit card. I usually do it with Venmo, or they give me a check.
Okay.
How do you go about to charge with a credit card when your inflow of clients is not consistent, and I don't want to pay the credit card company, whoever is doing it, for something that I'm not really going to use, or I'm not using as often as if I use Venmo, or because I'm afraid, to be honest with you, to charge with a credit card. So I don't know. I am very, very confused. So
Okay, I think what would help is to use a credit card, it's per transaction. It's not a you pay the credit card company this much. It's
but usually
only,
they charge you a fee for the system, for the thingy.
that's the 4% that
Yeah.
the credit card company charges you. That's why if you choose to use credit cards, you tell the client, if they choose to use a credit card, you're happy to, but you've got to add 4% of whatever their total invoice is back onto their invoice, so that you get reimbursed for what the credit card company charges you.
Yeah, but doesn't the company, the credit card company, charge you as a be able to use their card, their name or whatever? They don't charge you a fee or something.
Oh,
That's what I'm
She
afraid,
doesn't.
because I don't want to pay.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to use it.
okay, Brenda, let me explain.
Okay, go back.
Okay, this is not a credit card company. This is a vendor that processes other people's credit cards.
Okay,
Is what it's called, a merchant services account.
okay.
So it's not you using a credit card. It's no one is charging you an annual fee. You're signing up through QuickBooks or your bank or however to take credit cards, and they are your merchant services. They're charging you 4% to take the money from your client's bank account or credit card and dump it into yours. It's how they make their money.
It's only every time I make a transaction. It's not when I just acquired the system and then.
Only transactional, yes.
All right, now I'm not confused. Okay,
Now you're not confused?
no, I think
Perfect.
so. But that's okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, next question. Is there more?
We don't have any more in
No,
the
no
chat,
more
but
questions in the.
anyone who has a question can feel free to just raise their hand and unmute themselves and ask directly. You don't have to put it in a chat first.
Yeah, and I also want to say too, well, you guys, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question about anything we've talked about today, as well as if you're just struggling with something in your business, please unmute yourself and ask that question too. That is what we're here for also. But if you are listening to a recording of this, because not everybody could make it to the call today, and you need to ask us a question, Heather, what's the best way that they get that to us?
They can email.
Okay.
They can email heather@chefdeb.com and I can send them on to you. So email heather@chefdeb.com.
Yeah. And then because we want, even if you couldn't make it today and you're listening to this recording and you need to get your questions answered, we still want to be here for you as well. So please just email us and we'll get your questions answered. Is there anybody that has anything else? Because one of the things I always do is I always want to respect your time while we are on these calls, and part of our culture as well as our core values is we like to keep things as simple as possible. So any other questions before I think Sue, go ahead and just unmute. I think you are. Hi.
Are the calls the same? Hey, are the calls the same time every day?
They are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we will have reminder emails going out so you don't miss it.
Yeah. And the cool thing is we're actually going to have, we're going to have a couple of people. Am I frozen? Somebody said I was frozen. No. Okay.
I did.
Okay, we're actually going to have a couple of people that I've done this with. I've kind of set them down in a full strategy day, and found quite a bit of money for them so that you guys can learn from them as well and ask them questions and how it helped them in their business and everything that they did to find it. So as you guys come back and hang out with us, you guys are going to learn from other people as well. So anybody have any other questions? I'm looking. And thank you guys for being here today. If your screen is off, I'm going to only assume that you were so busy moving around in the background, other than you're too shy to come on board for us to see your gorgeous face. So whenever you guys come back tomorrow, we will go into more of those money pits as well. And if you guys have questions in the meantime, you know who to email. And thank you guys for joining us today. Have a great evening. Bye, everybody.